Today, we're going to give you Baja Ria. Baja Ria, we're generally considering the easiest course. Very straightforward, a lot of clean sight lines. Elevation changes aren't nearly as great as some of the other courses. You will have to put the ball in a couple different positions to make sure you have sight lines at holes, but we're going to show you all those through this tutorial. Got it illustrated out for you. So watch along, share this with your friends, like it, love it, subscribe, and let's get right to it. Course walkthrough for Baja. Basic premise, standard set of clubs and balls. There's not much special that you need on this course at all. No extra clubs. At this point in time, I'm playing in 9-wood only because the 9-wood distance is crazy. And I dropped my 7-wood for a 4-iron. And then whatever irons you like other than that will be fine. Without further ado, first hole, just as always, bang straight down the fairway. You can put it out in the sand and line up shots pretty straight a lot of the times. So, all right, hole 2. Straight over the top, right at the pin. Pretty simple shot right now. There's not any real obstacles here, nothing to really worry about. Basic par 3, hole 3, standard move from IT. Okay, the first interesting hole. All right, so on the left-hand side of the fairway, there's not really a play over here. You're going to have issues getting over anything from there. So the play that we're going to use is, we're going to go over here, and a high tee, 10.5 driver will clear this no problem. Your 9.5 will probably clear too to the left of these cactus right here. That's really the only thing you're worrying about. So what we'll do is we're going to knock this one stiff, high tee, 10.5, right over the top. Get a pretty simple approach coming in. The slope on this part over here will pretty much kick you. If you hit over here, it'll kick you back off of there and back to the fairway. So the sand isn't really in play much either. The first hole on this course, that gives you any sort of an issue, but not an issue really that you need to worry about much. Now you'll have to worry, these cactuses in front of this can be in play, the ones that we're looking at right now. So be careful. If you could try to go with a 9.5 driver and 8.5 driver, you might hit those. Most of the time though, from right now, it's pretty short, so you won't need to worry about it. We have 288 in. I'm going to go, it's a little downhill, which you're going to notice a lot more this year, that we're going to have some downhills. All you have to do is get it over the downhill. So we'll go right over the top. And like I said, not much risk on this hole whatsoever. Okay, every time I've played this, we're going to go here, and my goal is to get to this part of the fairway. You could use a high tee, you could not. let's just do this one without a high tee right now and see where it comes up. And this is 11 in the face. Now, mind you, I'm using stouts right now, so it's half the wind. But you'll see you're over that almost every time. Whatever you have to do, if you need to, a high tee works perfectly fine there. Another straightforward shot, par 3, no real risk. Got a lot of little stuff in front of you. Just eliminate all of that from your view, and you'll have no problem. Now, I'm playing a 9-wood, and like I said, this 9-wood actually flies true distance. Watch this. I don't know if anyone played the earlier year, but that 9-wood would have landed about 170 to 175 with that shot before. So if you want to, and I noticed a couple other players have taken they're playing only one wood high lofted between the 7, the 8, and the 9. And most players are choosing the 9. On this, you have this patch of grass out here on the right. This is not fairway. This is all rough. It's not worth going over there. You don't need to. We're going to play this straight down the center of the fairway. Whether you high tee it or not, it doesn't matter. Some setups you might want to, but you just put it out in the middle here and you have a clean shot looking at the hole. Now I got to take off some on that. Look at that 9-wood carry. Guys, while I always said that was the most functional club prior to, it's different now, and it's the only lofted wood I need because it goes higher than the other two and it goes as far, if not longer, than the other two. It might get changed, so after this video, you might see a change. So obviously pay attention to it. Keep an eye on the Golden Tee fan on Facebook. Check out word of mouth. We'll let you know if we see any changes on it. It's very straightforward, par 4. It's slightly uphill, so that first bounce is going to kick forward pretty hard. The pin's been back there almost every time I've played this, so I'm going to play this with bite. And I can't crush it because I'll bounce over the top. Okay, couple different plays here. The high tee 8.5 will clear these cactus in front of me. It will get over that. You'll have some setups where the wind is pushing in your face and it's a little hard to get there. When you do have that, you can turn right and hit a C3 with a high tee and have it go up the hill. It will take this path like this and go up the hill and kick over the top. On this setup though, we're gonna just play your standard high tee driver, knock it straight down the fairway. This one won't change too much. For those who aren't big hitters, you can put it shorter to the right and have a different shot coming in. I always prefer to get as close as I can on a hole because you get incrementally more hole outs when you're closer to the hole. And see, this is where I might run into some issues. If you're playing just the 9-wood, you're going to have to learn how to cut the ball down a little bit to lose some distances. And it'll take a little getting used to because it is different than what we've seen before. All right, we have the tiered green par 3. They're very common. You'll see more of them this year, as well as an elevation change. Now, if you're looking at a setup such as this, you got to land on the top tier. With the low irons that we're playing here, your 9s and your 8s, it's going to be very hard to get it to roll from the bottom tier to the top tier. Not very hard to get it to roll from the top tier back down to the bottom. What I'm finding very useful on this is a high tee with backspin. Now, it's not going to backspin very hard, which means that it's very less risk to go down to the bottom of the green, but it also gives you a chance to pull that back into the hole and maybe make it anywhere. We have a few options on this. Okay. You have a play where you can go long and straight. Oh, wrong thing. Where we can go long and straight and clear this here. Or on the other map, you'll see it right here. You can get out there. Depending on wind, that's a very good play to go. You'll end up in the sand quite a bit, and sand is fine. You've got no distance problems there. You can, through this gap here, with a high tee, 10.5 will clear it on most setups with the high tee. Be safe, the 3 would almost always clear it. Then the other play that I'll go is from here and hit an A1 with any type of club. Any which way you go, you're gonna have very similar results. On this, I'm gonna high tee it with the A1, because I'm gonna also try to line up this wind. So hopefully I lined it up pretty straight. Notice that that wind lined up pretty darn good. Now I got a thumb shot coming in with my stouts. The problem is I'm not gonna thumb it hard enough to hit that there, so I'm gonna go with this and release it. And damn near got it. So you gotta look at where the pin is on these greens to decide which way you wanna go. If I went to the left over the mountain that time, it would have been closer, but I would have had a crosswind rather than a straight wind at my back. All right, the design a hole. I believe Brian something or other, I can see it up there. I can't see his last name. Brian Boo Bob, I'm not sure what his last name is. We'll see it when we get up there. Congratulations, he got a free machine for it, so make sure to pay attention when 2022 is getting ready to release, and I'm sure they'll do another design a hole. Now, if we're looking, we'll hold the, okay. These trees in here are mostly not in play. I haven't had a club hit them yet. 5 hybrid doesn't even hit them. But this tree would be in play with a 5 hybrid, a 5 iron, 7 iron, probably not. And if you see here, we're gonna have a shot right over the top. So let's look at this right now. Let's take a shot at going at this from this direction. 7 iron was nowhere near that and had, so you're clear with the 7 over everything. All right, so first challenging hole. Now, if we're looking at this, we'll try to get a good flyby view on it, but everything outside of this green, okay, so everything down here, around the outside of that, is all bad. It's very hard to get out of. You can be stuck in a cactus type surface where you can't get out. If you play just a G wedge like myself, there's spots that you can't get up from down there. So your goal is to stay away from that. It does line you up offset quite a bit. Like you're not facing the hole at any means. So any which way you look at it, you're gonna have to play a shot coming back at the hole from either, if I'm aiming left of the hole, back to the right. If I'm aiming right of the hole, back to the left. It will carry quite a bit here. So we're gonna do this and we're gonna try to thumb the 10.5. Now you got nothing to worry about short. Your whole key is you have to land the green with spin and check it back. You could probably try to leave it up at the top and trickle down. I'm not as big of a fan of that because you don't have as much play and there's less error on it. But here. Pushed it back to the middle. It's a lot harder than it looks. But it's probably the only hole you'll really have a hard time with. And it's a couple strokes problem if you do miss it. Generally on this, we're gonna put it in the middle of the fairway. If you're looking at the flyby, those cactus can come into play if you go off the fairway. If you're on the fairway, they're not in play. Now there is another shot here, and if you want to knock it stiff down into here, you can get a pretty good line at the pin. It's level with the hole then, or more level. It's still a little bit higher than the hole. It's a good way to go. For the most part though, you're just gonna knock it up on the fairway. Don't let it trick all the way down. You're not worried about distance on your second shot. So just make sure you're on the fairway. We've got a shot coming in that's not too bad. Bam, plop it right in there. Okay, very simple. It looks challenging. every time I'll go this way. I'm just knocking it onto this little strip with bite. Anywhere in here with bite. It won't go wet when it trickles down into the sand, but the sand down at the end of the fairway, down here, is a little bit more challenging to play out of because you're going to have a lower lofted club coming in with a big down break. You can also smack a driver into this hole, into the hill right there, and it will fall down soft. I have seen the ball stick in the hill then, and it plays this sand, so be slightly careful with that. But pretty smooth, easy shot. Fairway's fine. Rough is fine. Sand is a little trickier, but now once again, the sand on the outside edges of this or off the green is problems. So if you're not confident in cutting a shot in or your aim getting it close to the left edge of that, make sure to just put it to the middle of the green and have a putt. The sides are trouble. The second challenging hole in this course is this. Now, the reason it's challenging, it's a big drop off to the hole, and in general, hole 17 will have a large wind. On a setup such as this, I'm probably thinking that this 9-iron with roll will be good. Your worries are if you catch the wall on the right, it's rock, not sand, that ball's coming off the green and going wet almost every time. And then the other problem you're going to be noticing is that since it's such a downhill shot, it's going to carry a bit farther. But let's flip this with roll and see where we end up. Right up the 5, back down the 9. Perfect. That's fine. A lot of the times you're going to use a low tee on that shot just to have it come down and trickle in slowly. Okay, we're going to look at this one. This is going to be one of the holes that you're going to have a little bit more problems with. The choice is generally pretty easy. You're either going to look at it and be like, I got to go around the right-hand side of these cactuses, or I got to go around the left. When you have to go around the left-hand side of the cactuses off the tee box, there's an opportunity to go up the middle over the cactuses. It's a little riskier because you're having to go through 2 of the taller cactus. In this case, we're on the right-hand side, so we're going to play it off to the right. We'll notice that in front of the green, it's a slope that's going back into the water. So if you hit that in general, if you hit the sand in front of the green, it's not kicking up with the clubs that you're hitting. It's going to go wet. To the right-hand side, it's pretty safe, but it's a nasty little chip from there, but it's an easy birdie. And then obviously the left-hand side is wet. So our goal here is to land to the right of the pin and then to have it backspin up and in. Like that. Pretty simple, guys. Just follow that tutorial. We'll try to get another video here and see the left-hand look here shortly too. Okay. Most of the time on 18, the tee box will be will be up a little bit closer, like in this area here. And the shot is you're going to look at the shot and go, okay, I'm going around the right-hand side of this. The risk up at the green is this little patch short. If you land short and hit the sand, you're going in the water. You can't bounce it up very easily. So now when we're looking at this, okay, going around the right doesn't give me a ton of play there, but I could do it. But if I go around to the left, the wind is helping me back. So let's see. We got the wind helping me back a little bit. I could go around the left, which is what I'll probably be doing. Now, you can definitely go straight over the top. The problem with going straight over the top is you either need to high tee it to be sure you're over it, or you need to make sure you're going only through the gaps in the cactuses. Otherwise, the club that you'd be hitting for the distance to get to the pin would hit the tall ones. It would hit these guys. We don't want to hit those. That would be bad. So in my case, I'm comfortable with the cut. I'm just going to go around the left-hand side. I'll play the club that's the right distance because I have a little bit of outwind. I'll backspin this with a little cut and see how we do. and then I undercut it, but I cut it just enough. If I cut that enough to hit the green first, that would have been actually a pretty good speed going in. And we come through, long putt, not really, 38 feet. Most of us are going to hit that most of the time. That gets us covered pretty well here, so that's good. Your key on Baja is to try to line up, get yourself the best looks you can at holing out. And that'll be your best scoring opportunity, pull-ups. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll have that coming up short.